Everyone knows that a person can live with or one kidney, but few people know that a person can even live with half a brain.
This is Christina's house. She has lived her whole life with only half a brain. She simply does not have the right hemisphere of the brain. But she has a husband, a family, and even a master's degree. She can drive a car and play bowling. Christina is a speech therapist and has two daughters with normal brains.
She was lucky. Her left hemisphere of the two brain over the function of her right hemisphere. I'd be lying if I said that her life was no different from other people's. If you have a half-empty skull, your life is not very easy.
Christina is paralyzed on the left side of her body. She had a special device installed in her left leg so that she could walk, and her left hand is always pressed to the body.
For scientists, she was a godsend because it showed how the brain can rearrange itself. Every brain has its own characteristics, and there are a lot of patients like that. It turns out that in order to find out how the brain works, it needs to be faulty.
Now you will find out where fear appears and can it be turned off. How does the brain build maps right in your head? Why do some people only see half of the world? Why do boxes turn their brains into rubble? What happens if the human brain is cut in half?
What size do you think your biggest bear is? It's very small. Like this. And he is right here.
This area is called the amygdala. Yes, you understand correctly. When the amygdala turns on, it means it's time to get scared. The brain sends signals to the adrenal glands. These are glands that are located above our kidneys, like a head.
The adrenal glands release two hormones, adrenaline and cortisol. These are the same hormones that are injected into the blood. For example, during a fight or if you sharply press the gas pedal.
Your heart speeds up to pump more blood. Breathing quickens to pump as much oxygen into the blood as possible. Blood from the intestines rushes to the brain. What is why hunger goes away and attention sharpens. Pupils dilate to capture as much light as possible and see any threat.
Fight or run. This feeling must have been experienced by all of us, but not the patient with the number SM036.
The identity of the patient is classified, so the media call her a woman without fear. She does not have amygdala on both sides at once. Here they are in a normal brain, and instead of tonsils, she has two black holes.
Therefore, this woman is absolutely not afraid of anything.
She was shown huge snakes and spiders. She was shown horror films, but it didn't work to scare her.
It must be cool not to be afraid of anything. One night she was attacked by a robber with a knife, but that didn't scare her either. But one day she still managed to scare. How? She was given carbon dioxide to breathe.
When the concentration of carbon dioxide in the blood is exceeded, our body seems to be suffocating. It scares the older parts of the brain, such as the brainstem, which we inherited from reptiles.
The human brain is still poorly understood. It is difficult to study the brain on a living person. Scientists understand how the brain works only when the brain fails.
One part of the SM046 patient's brain is broken. So now we know that role they play in our behavior.
But back to fears. The ancient man was afraid to come out of his cave. There are wild animals around. In addition, if he went hunting, he then had to return to his cave. But how to find the way to your cave? Need a map. But maps did not appear immediately. Initially, ancient man had to rely only on his brain.
Look, this is a tribe of bushmen. During the hunt, they go 30 kilometers from their village. They then return with their prey, and they don't use cards.
The map is in the head. Yes, you can do that too. That's what your brain is capable of.
There are special neurons, lattice neurons. They are like a radar, scanning everything around. Then they build a map out of hexagons.
Scientists study not only the human brain, but the brains of animals. Once scientists conducted an experiment with a rat.
The rat was placed in a room to follow its movement. It was a good idea. The rat ran and stopped at some points. If you connect these points, you get hexagons. But why hexagon? This is the ideal form in nature. It evenly fills the maximum area. A honeycomb is a hexagon. Soap bubbles are also a hexagon. The eyes of insect are a hexagon. The mental maps in your head are also a hexagon.
There are also neurons that work like a compass.
That is, you do not feel where the north is and where the south is. You simply understand where you are in relation to your home. For example, there are also speed neurons. They work like a speedometer. They count how many hexagons you pass per second. Thanks to all these neurons, you can get to the bathroom at night or to the refrigerator. This whole map is woven in your head.
They are in the hippocampus. Translate from Greek, it translates as a seahorse. We have two of them, left and right. And if they break, you can become a tourist in your own home.
Like Sharon Roseman. Her memory is fine. She just can't build maps in her head. She has to relearn how to go to the kitchen every morning. It was as if all the walls had moved overnight. She only works where she can get home from in a straight line. Living in Denver, she always knows the mountains will be to the west. By them she navigates. So if you suddenly took a wrong turn, there's nothing wrong with that. There are worse situations.
Okay, surely your brain is the same as everyone else's. It has two hemispheres, but they work in a very strange way. The left hemisphere is only responsible for the right side of the body. The right hemisphere controls the left side of the body. But that's not all. The left hemisphere only sees what is in the right. The right hemisphere only sees what is on the left. But why? Why so strange? No answer. This is how nature created us. But how does this affect us?
Let's remember the girl from the beginning of the video. She didn't have the right hemisphere of her brain, and she was paralyzed on the left side of her body.
The brain revived, and the left hemisphere took over some of the work of the right hemisphere. But there are other people with amazing brain features.
This is the brain of the Frenchman Louis Le Bon. Le Bon had lost the ability to speak by the time he was 20, or rather, he could only say one word, tan. Tan is both a question and a statement and an answer and a declaration of love. After Le Bon's death, the famous surgeon Pierre Broca examined his brain. He also examined the brain of several other people with the same condition. It turned out that all of these people had a brain defect in the same place, on the left side in the frontal lobe, same as Le Bon's. This part of the brain is called Broca's area.
People with the features of the brain exist even now. It looks like this.
How many children do you have?
Total.
Can you count that out for me?
Thus, humanity learned that the left side of the brain is responsible not only for the right side of the body, but also for speech. And what about the right hemisphere? In Brock's time, he was considered practically useless. But later it became known that this was not the case. This became known thanks to the study of the brain of people who have experienced a stroke on the right side of the head. They only see half of the world. You'll see for yourself now.
Such people only eat from the right side of the plate. Women apply makeup only to the right side of the face. Men only shave the right side of the face. They don't touch the left side of the face at all. It's like she doesn't exist.
They think that everything is fine with them, because for them there is simply no left side on the wall.
They can see the second half of the wall only with the help of such glasses. They redirect the full picture of the wall to their left eye, and the world becomes normal again.
We also know that the right side of the brain is responsible for recognizing faces and images. Also, the right half of the brain is responsible for irony, sarcasm, and humor. Therefore, a person who survived a stroke in the right side of the head will definitely not be able to understand you jokers. Let's remember Mr. Tono Tono and the people who only see half the world. If you have carefully followed everything I have said here, then you can conclude that we actually have two brains. In fact, our hemispheres are interconnected, and one hemisphere does not hide anything from the other hemisphere. They are like twin brothers who tell each other everything. That is why we do not notice that different functions work in different areas for the brain. For us, it is like a wall. What if this connection is broken? What if we separate these two halves? What will happen then? A person with split brain hemisphere can be next to you and you won't even notice it until some strange things start to happen. For example, the right hand will begin to lead the seat a little strange. It's like she's a stranger.
The right hand chooses an apple, and the left hand a pear. The left hand takes a pen. The right hand needs a pencil. It's called alien hand syndrome. Let us now remember that the left hemisphere of the brain gives a person the ability to speak, and there is no other hemisphere.
In an ordinary person, the hemispheres of the brain communicate with each other, and in a person with separate hemispheres of the brain, the hemispheres do not interact with each other.
If you put various objects on the left and ask such a person what he sees, he will answer that he sees nothing. This is because his left-speaking hemisphere does not see anything with his right eye. If you close his right eye and ask him to take the phone in his hand, then the right hemisphere of the brain will perform this task. He will do it with his left hand. But if he passes it to his right hand and then closes his left eye and opens his right eye, then the person will not remember why he took the phone.
It's very strange. In addition, the left and right hemispheres may respond differently to the same question.
For example, if you ask a person what his favorite color is, most likely the hemispheres of the brain will choose different colors.
Because of the split brain, the left-speaking hemisphere could not understand what the right was seeing, and the right hemisphere saw everything but could not say anything. This means that split brain patients have two independent brains. Yes, partly yes. And most importantly, you also have two separate brains in your head. Only they communicate with each other, and you do not notice it. But what then is personality? The left hemisphere that can speak, or the right hemisphere that understands everything? Maybe it's two personalities in one head? In fact, neurons from both hemispheres are assembled into a single whole, like ants in an anthill. This anthill of neurons is you.
This is the pinnacle of evolution. 1.5 kilograms of thinking jelly. This is you. Here are all your childhood memories and all your dreams.
When you realize this, you begin to appreciate your main organ. What cannot be said about, for example, boxers?
Look how boxers blow each other's brains out. But viewers don't care. Look at the audience applauding and shouting. Meanwhile, the boxer's brain is turning into a wreck.
Our brains are soft like butter, but it is in a hard skull, and the skull has sharp edges.
A knockout is when the brain hits the bone hard. As a result of the impact, the nerve fibers are torn. The brain stem, which is responsible for breathing and heartbeat, beats against the edges of the skull. After this, a person can no longer get up. The hypothalamus and pituitary gland are injured.
That is why many boxers have problems with hormones. There can be hundreds of such knockouts in a boxer's career.
Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. Remember, Muhammad Ali said these words. Here he is young and in great shape, and this is what he looked like in his old age.
Every knockout is a very strong threshold for the brain. And then there are dozens and hundreds of such knockouts. Big problems can arise.
In movies, people get hit in the head all the time. Then they get up as if nothing had happened and go about their business.
In real life, everything is different. Understand, heal your memories, your desires, your fears, your feelings, all here. This is you. Take care of your brain and subscribe to our channel so that your brain becomes stronger. Bye.